Oh, welcome to another episode of Black Tea with Matt and Michael. I'm Matt.
I'm Michael.
And here we are, episode 12. We've made it a dozen episodes of Black Tea. How are we feeling?
Blessed and highly favored.
Today's episode, we will be discussing coming out stories.
Coming out stories.
And we both have had drastically different experiences as gay men. Yours started considerably early. Mine did not. And our coming out stories are wildly different. I mean, in comparison, like I came out in my mid to late-ish 20s and you did not.
I came out in like levels. Like, I always tell people.
Levels by Nick Jonas.
Right? When people always ask me, when did you come out or when did you know you were gay? I'm like, oh, which time? Like, because they came out to my friends first. Then I came out to my mom, and then they came out to my whole entire family. I came out to them at like 14, 15 years old. I was just able to confidently be like, hey, I like guys. And it didn't people had already kind of knew who I was, and it didn't tamper with my high school experience. Then I turned 25 and came out to my mom because I just felt like that was a pivotal time in my life, and I had already been, working in the gay community as a go-go dancer, stripping, doing all of this kind of like stuff that was frowned upon in my family. So I was like, well, the least I can do is let the person who, number one, I'm living with, because I still lived with my mom, and number two, the person who I'm closest to on the face of the earth is my mom. And then at 30, I think I just hit a level of maturity where I was just like, fuck it.
It's your 30th birthday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, on my 30th birthday, I have like multiple social media platforms and pages, and one of the Facebooks that I have is like specifically for family and like old acquaintances and things like that who may not really embrace, the LGBT lifestyle that I live. So I just posted on there, yep, I guess I'm gay now. Problem? Fight me. And yeah, my dad called maybe like that night and we discussed it, and that was about it. Like, what's your summary?
That's wildly different than mine. My process of coming out took so much time. I tried to come out when I was 13, and my mom told me it was a phase, and I tried to come out again when I was 15. She told me it was a phase. She was doing some snooping through my shit and found out that I had a boyfriend when I was 18. She still told me that it was a phase. And then in 2013, I started telling my friends that I was bisexual, which I've had sex with men and women, and I was still at the time having sex with women, but I knew that I was not actually bisexual. I just felt like it was me trying to embrace my gayness, so to speak, but also still leave room for, women to exist in my life sexually. But as I started doing that, I honestly just had to accept the fact that I knew I was lying to myself and still in turn lying to everyone else, because I never wanted to be with a female romantically. And at that point in my life, I really didn't want to be with any female sexually. When I was a teenager, it was just different. It was just kind of like, I want to fuck anything. I lived in Illinois at the time, and so like all my friends in Vegas where I grew up, and I was like, let me try and tell them. I'll go in chronological order to how I met them. And I just sent a text message to each friend, and it was something along the lines of like, hey, if I told you that I was bisexual, would you have a problem with that, or would that affect our friendship? And pretty much everyone said, well, not pretty much, everyone said no, like it was not a problem, it was fine. Fast forward to 2015, and I was still an active pro wrestler at the time, and I was stressed, I was depressed, I was thinking about killing myself, not just due to my homosexuality or anything like that, but just like a lot of other aspects of my life. And I had been like quietly telling like certain friends, But I got tired of everyone else wondering and asking and speculating and creating conversation behind my back that would then get to me. So I posted a coming out blog basically on my Facebook at the time at like 2 a.m. I wrote it like a week prior, and I posted it on June 18th, 2015. And it's very interesting now that I look back now, because at the time I didn't really know that like Pride Month was a thing. Like I really was not at all like a part of gay culture community at all.
So it wasn't intentional.
It was not intentional, but I posted it like just a week before like the Pride Parade and all that, maybe 2 weeks before, and it just coincident. The next day, I woke up and there was so much positive input all over my Facebook, and like people like, you know, posting things about it. And then someone messaged me and was like, hey, can we like post this on our website? We're, you know, do a little piece about you. And I was like, sure, whatever. And they just asked me a couple of questions. It wasn't even really an interview. They just asked me a couple of questions and I answered them. And that was on Saturday. And then on Monday, just a few days later, I think I was at the gym maybe, and I had my phone turned off or something like that. But I turned my phone back on and I had notifications just boom, 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 boom. I was like, what the fuck happened? I turned it on and the article had gone viral. It was an article for outsports.com, and it had went viral, and it started getting picked up by like various news sites, because news always wants to pounce on anyone who comes out. And by no means was I an A-lister of any kind in the sports world, but that, hey, I was the gay wrestler who was coming out, and it was a thing, and I was immediately thrust into spotlight of some kind. And my coming out went from being just me trying to get things off my chest to now I am a public figure of some kind, and it was not what I expected nor what I planned. And the one of the cool things that came from all of that was that it humorously ultimately led to he and I becoming friends. Unbeknownst to me, this one was searching for gay sports, gay athletes in Chicago area, because he wanted to try and date a gay athlete. And little did he know that I was on my way to moving to Chicago. He found me, added me on social media. I did not know, because at that time period I was getting added by like everyone and their mother. But then we wound up working at the same place, and
yeah, it wasn't like a stalker.
It wasn't a thing. Like it was just all
to
like
my job. It started working.
It all just like, you know, just humorously and coincidentally happened. And as we've discussed on many previous episodes, unfortunately for him, he did not get to date this gay athlete. But we still got like an amazing friendship out of it. So the coming out stories between he and I are so drastically different. One of the things that is cool is where we've wound up versus where we started is so cool to see, because all of the pieces, and I obviously haven't known you since you first came out, but you know, over the last 4 years of our friendship, seeing where you are now versus where you were when I met you is such a cool journey. And I knew you as a gay man, and
a gay boy,
a gay bottom. So, you know, versus the verse was the word that I used there, versus the verse man that sits next to me now. But you know, and then same for
you've always been a man.
Oh.
Like, I saw him, and then I instantly recognized him, and then he spoke, and I was like, shook. Shook. I was like, oh my God, who is this man? And
I'll take that. But in the world of being a gay man, I was still very much a boy, because he met me in December of 2015, and I had only been out since June. I was out, but I really wasn't a part of gay lifestyle at all, because I lived in a small town at the time. So my coming out process still continued beyond that point. My coming out, honestly, continued beyond actually coming out. It wasn't until I met him that I was able to truly come out. And I know that he's seen me evolve as a gay man, and we've seen each other evolve, and it's just very cool to see.
My upbringing was always very much that like homosexuality was wrong. It was frowned upon. It was what I was like going to church and being taught. And specifically at that time when I was like, 11, 12, 13, and 14, like, and I don't know if I've told you this, but when I first like really realized that like I liked men, I was like, oh, I didn't even go to like I was gay. Like I was like, oh no, I'm trans. I'm gonna start transitioning. I want to be a girl. Like that's where my mind went because I liked guys. That's kind of where I got my confidence to be a gay man and to be that, because I was like, oh well, once I got to be like 15 and was exposed to like more gay men and started, sleeping up. Like in high school, we just had this conversation the other night. Like I think I had more sex in high school than I do now. But
which is saying something.
Whatever. There was a very, very intentional conversation had between my mom and I when I was like 16 years old that she was the one that was like, no, you're not trans. You
gay, boy.
You're gay. My mom had always known. The reason why I took so long to tell her is because she kept trying to pull it out of me and like trying to pull me out of the closet, and I just was not ready. So once I hit 25, I definitely was like, okay, she hasn't asked in a couple of years. Parents always ask that, like, so
when am I gonna get grandchildren?
Are you talking to any girls? Is that your girlfriend? And it'd be like Susie from down the street or fucking
not Susie.
Becca from around the corner.
Not Becca. You hung out with some basic girls.
My best friend in high school's name was Emily.
Half of me always wished that my coming out story started and ended in like high school, but I'm very happy and honestly very fortunate with the way that my coming out story went. I definitely had instances where I had been outed to some people. I actually had my roommate, one of my best friends at the time, his ex-girlfriend had found out, and I asked her, I was like, please don't tell, my friend. And she was like, I won't. When I, years later, came out to my friend, who was still my roommate at the time, and he already knew. And I was like, what do you mean you know? He was like, I've known since, such and such. And he told me that his girlfriend told him. Most friends would bring it up to you, but he let me tell him on my own. And I've always appreciated that. For anyone that is watching, feel free to share your coming out stories with us on social media. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share, retweet this and all other episodes of Black Tea. With that said, this has been another episode of Black Tea with Matt and Michael. I'm Matt.
I'm Michael.
And we will see you next time.
Hey.